So exactly 1 year ago tomorrow, that's when I discovered I had this tumor in me. And it was kind of a miracle that I was still alive, because the amount of fluid and pressure and everything that it was placing on my heart, my lungs, it was almost impossible to breathe. Nonstop coughing, oxygen was low, pulse and blood pressure were through the roof. It was just, it was a mess. It was a couple days of not really knowing much of what was going to be going on. So that's 1 year ago tomorrow, and here I am at the urgent care this morning for a CT scan that they're hoping to see this mass that appeared. It was a new growth, is what they said. On my last scan that I had 3 months ago, they're hoping to see it the same size today or not any bigger than what it was. Really don't like doing these CT scans or x-rays or anything. I mean, I've had a very busy year with all that stuff. There's obviously concern for the amount of radiation and things that you're getting, because let's face it, I mean, I spent essentially a month on across 2 separate occasions in the hospital of getting CT scans, getting x-rays every single day, if not maybe a couple times a day, to watch everything that was going on in here. So hopefully this won't take long. I'll get in here, get my scan done, hopefully get my results before I even make it back to work. Gotta stop by the pharmacy and pick up more medication before I go in. So this is the routine. When you're in a situation like I am, especially something that you have to continue monitoring very closely, man, it's tough. It's a lot to do. Scans every 3 months, doctor's appointments to follow up on the scans every 3 months, blood work, medication out the wazoo. It's a lot. It's frustrating too, because it's very expensive. I mean, I feel lucky to have, I'm not going to say great health insurance, but it's better than what I had before at my last job. So I feel blessed to have a little bit better insurance, but at the end of the day, it's super expensive. I know the whole world's getting more expensive now, and it's unfortunate that, you know, our paychecks don't follow the trends of how expensive things are. Not gonna do an economics lesson. I know all too well the reasons why, and I get it, but it's frustrating to be the blue collar guy, because, you know, the people below you seem to get more help, the people above you seem to not need it. Here we are kind of stuck in the middle trying to make ends meet. I have another doctor that actually doesn't even want to see me until I pay a couple $100 balance, and I don't even know how I'm going to do that. So it's tough, but should you get admitted to the hospital, they're going to start talking to you about money almost right away. And it's so frustrating, because like in my case, it was literally a life or death situation, and here they are asking me, what can you pay up front? Sign this paper saying that you'll make payments, yada yada yada. You shouldn't have to have that in the back of your mind when it's something real serious, life or death, cancer, some kind of big surgery. You shouldn't have to have that in the back of your mind, but guess what? You're going to. It helps to have other people there, family, friends, that can help you understand things or advocate for you. But there was a ton of stuff that needed to happen when I was laying in a hospital bed right after my biopsy. Insurance is a nightmare. It's not easy. You got to make phone calls, emails. Some insurance companies, like mine did, they required, this was actually for my short-term disability benefit that I had, they required that I fax things from my doctor. Very specific papers with very specific things on them. They required them to be faxed. I mean, I don't know about you all, but nobody faxes anymore. It's just not something that is common. Everything's electronic now. There's no faxing of anything anywhere. Can't do it at work. Mike could go somewhere and pay to do it. FYI, the best way to do it is, I found out there's an app that you can download on your phone. There's actually several, but you can take a picture and convert it to a fax image, but you will pay per sheet. And I'm wanting to say it's somewhere around a dollar per piece of paper, so $1 per sheet that you have to pay to fax. It's a little expensive in my opinion, but it was a necessity for us, right? I was laying in the hospital, but I couldn't go anywhere. The hospital, they had the ability to fax, but they weren't, the communication kind of fell through, and they weren't really following directions exactly the way that the insurance company asked. I mean, you're kind of at somebody else's mercy at that point in time. So it becomes tough. But you can do it on the phone, but you need to understand that the hospital has resources, right? Any hospital, they should. It might not be as much as some others, but they have resources dedicated to helping you get things done, like filling out papers, faxing them, emailing them. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't think that it completely all falls in your lap, that you have to do all these things or have your family and friends do all these things. If they can, that's great. It helps. But be sure to ask the hospital staff, because they have, like, in my case, they had like 2 people that were dedicated to doing nothing but, being a patient advocate to help you get insurance papers done and things of that nature. So be sure to use them. The less you have to worry about, the better. Because at the end of the day, you're in there, you need to focus on recovery. You need to focus on whatever you need to do mentally to prepare yourself for what's about to come your way. To communicate with family and friends, to maybe set up help at home. Maybe you have kids or pets or something that need taken care of, or those are the things you need to worry about, not all the insurance crap. And that's what it is. It's crap. It was a nightmare. I've paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to the hospital, to doctors, to other doctors, for imaging. It's endless. The money is just endless. And here it's a new year, so the insurance reset, and the insurance got a little bit worse. I'm sure if it was a much smaller company, I probably would have been fired by now, because let's face it, I floated them a bill of a couple $1 million, easy. So I'm blessed, but I want you to know that it's taxing. It's mentally, physically, it's just exhausting. It's draining to go through all that stuff. And I mean, it's not something you want to think about, but the way these deductibles and stuff are these days, you might want to plan on, if you're going to be using a big chunk of your deductible, or you're going to actually meet your deductible, to where once you get to that point, insurance takes care of more. You might want to look at needing to do some other things in that same year, because here I am, this is going to be a lifelong thing. And apparently every year the clock resets on that deductible. So now, medication that used to be free or close to it now cost $40-50. The CT scan, I used to just walk in and get my scan done. Now they want like $1,500 up front. I can't do that. That's insane. That's a couple mortgage payments, so it's frustrating to have to think about it like that, but it is what it is. So you might want to group some things together and get things done while you're in the same year. But here I am, and I'm sure many others are, and it's just frustrating. So anyway, I'm definitely about to be late for my CT scan, so I'm gonna head on in there and see what happens. Hope for the best. Alright, so it's the morning after my CT scan, and still don't have any results yet. Normally I get them back within a few hours of taking the scan, but this time, here we are the next day, 24 hours later, still don't have it. So hoping that they just didn't have time to get to it and read it yesterday, and that it's not something bad like needing further analysis or needing somebody else to take a look at it, because, well, I mean, to be honest, I'm still in tremendous pain most of the days. Some days are okay. It's absolutely exhausting. So my kind of one of my biggest fears is that there is something coming back, and that they have to go in and do something else. And while I'm told that if they do, it's most likely going to be a VATS procedure where they cut like an inch long incision in between your ribs, a few of them, and they go in with their little robotic machine, and they can just snip out whatever they need to, because it's really not that big. I think I want to say it was somewhere around 9 to 10 millimeters, so it's not real big. But the point is, having that procedure done, coming out with the chest tubes on top of the pain that I already have, it just seems like a lot. It almost kind of seems unbearable. So it could require, another few weeks in the hospital, maybe at least a couple days. I don't know. I have my appointment with my surgeon late this week, so we'll see what he says and how it goes. I'm definitely nervous about it. Just to get back on the topic of financials, I really want to reiterate that the hospitals do have resources to help you, because at the end of the day, it's frustrating, it's confusing, it's a ton of papers. It's sad that it has to be that way. I totally understand why, but especially for the patient, but even the patient's family, friends, you really just need to remain focused on recovering, getting better, prepping yourself for whatever procedure is about to come your way. That's the mindset that you really need to have. You shouldn't need to be worried about, is my insurance going to pay? Am I going to be able to pay my bills while I'm out of work? Things like that. It's really unfortunate that anybody would have to think about that. And I did. Like I said, luckily I got my short-term disability, and that was covering me for a while. But at the end of the day, the way that long-term disability acted was, if this was not going to keep me out of work for at least a year or result in death, then they're not going to pay anything. Since I didn't meet either one of those requirements, thankfully, but at the end of the day, I thought I had long-term disability that would cover anything after the first 3 months that short-term covers. I thought it would just kick in and it would, pay me a reduced rate, but it would at least pay me something. And as it turns out, they just don't approve it and they don't pay you anything. So again, I consider myself lucky that it was only about a month. So if it wasn't for family and friends helping out, what am I supposed to do if I'm not sitting on a fairly large savings account to cover all my expenses? But at the end of the day, that's something that's going to come your way. And we're in the new year, so the deductible that I'm at last year is now gone. Everything resets. So all of a sudden, I go to the doctor, they're wanting tons of money. I go to pick up medicine, they want money. It's just a never-ending money. And I get it. Healthcare is not cheap. I get that. And this isn't an elective thing. This is, medically necessary. That's what they determine it. That's what they call it. But yet they want certain payments before I can come back. Not trying to say, oh, poor me. I mean, again, I consider myself fortunate. I don't have it nearly as good as some, but I definitely have it better than others, as most of us do, right? I mean, even if you think you're in the worst possible position, you have it better than somebody else. So I'm not trying to whine and complain, but really just want somebody to see this and realize that, if they're in this position, this is the reality. It just is. There's no getting around it. So, long story short, I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for my scan results today. Hopefully they come in. Hopefully everything's unchanged from the last time 3 months ago. That would be the best case scenario. Worst case scenario would be looking at having another procedure done. So let's just hope for not doing that. Thank you for watching again. Hope everybody's having a great week, a great start to 2024. So God bless you all, and have a great week.